कुमार स्वामी नायक गोंगो लिबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
Good evening, Fiji. In this bulletin, Minister rebuffs land lies. Informal workers soon to get new deal. And UNICEF worried about COVID-19 impact.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Smith.
But leading news tonight, Tailevu school in Tailevu has been closed for a week following concerns of the students' safety. The Education Ministry confirms the 109 students did not attend class today after a protest by a small group of students at RKS grounds last Friday, allegedly targeting the principal. Minister Rosie Akbar says they have not received any valid complaints, and students seem to have come up with new issues over the weekend.
Unfortunately, over the weekend something transpired, and this morning they put up the banner that they wanted the principal resolved. So we again sent our ministry official team to see what the new issue was. So far we haven't been able to actually understand what the issue is that the students have with the principal.
There are better ways to raise grievances or complaints. So my humble plea to the students of RKS, again, respect the authorities and make sure that you get back to school.
Talks about land grab by the government are amongst the false information spread by certain political parties. Lands Minister Choni Osumate made this comment in Parliament today and says the list of lies when it comes to land is sickening. Osumate says this deceit is fanning away potential investors who are planning to invest money in Fiji. Sanyani Boyla has more.
The Lands Minister says the only aim of the land bank is to best utilize idle land under terms and conditions which are attractive to both the landowners and the tenants, and is not land grab.
There's also been a wide misconception of a land grab through the land bank. There is no such thing happening in Fiji. There is no land grab that is taking place by government. Such misinformation, as I said, has at times led to insecurity of investors investing in this land due to false advice by other parties.
Members of opposition questioned the movement of the land bank from the Native Land Trust Board and the Itoke Land Trust Board to the government, and also called for an investigation to be done regarding the work done by TLTB.
A role already played by Native Land Trust Board which can transfer it. Why transfer that role to the government?
Mr. Speaker, it is high time that the minister responsible tables a motion to institute a public inquiry into the workings of the TLTB so that we do not have duplication of efforts and resources between the body and the land bank unit.
Land bank initiative is not something that this government has plucked out of thin air. The establishment of the land bank was born out of government's land reform initiative and is now a critical output of my ministry.
This comes a few days after Prime Minister Murenge Bainimarama assured landowners that they do not need to fear about losing their land. A total of 119 land parcels with a total area of 10,500 hectares is currently part of the land bank since its inception in 2010, where 100 are Itoke land, 13 freehold buyback land, and 6 are state land. The land bank is looked after by the Land Use Division of the Ministry of Lands. Sainiani Boyla, FBC News.
To cushion the effects of COVID-19 on Fijians employed in the informal sector, a Cash for Work program is expected to roll out soon in the Western Division. This is open to all informal workers affected by the drastic impact of the pandemic. According to the Reserve Bank of Fiji, 130,000 Fijians are classified as informal sector workers.
Minister for Economy Aya Sayed Kayum says people may work every day. Some are working just for 2 weeks or couple of days and they need assistance.
As a start, this assistance to the informal sector will be limited to those who can provide proof that they do not have FNPF accounts and are not registered with FRCS for taxation purposes. These individuals must also be able to provide proof of a reliable income source prior to COVID-19.
While Suva is affected, it's not as badly affected as the West. Nandi is terrible. Yeah, Lotoka, Mbata, Vua, it's almost like business as usual. It's really Nandi and Singatoka, the tourism belt, that has suffered a lot.
Syed Qayyum says the government will carry out this program in partnership.
As with FNPF, government will work in partnership with other organizations and government-related agencies, such as municipal councils, ministries like agriculture, environment or forestry, or credible NGOs that can develop temporary work programs in return for pay. That could be in the form of clean-up campaigns in municipalities or residential areas, planting trees or other agricultural produce. This will ensure that only genuinely affected people are assisted.
The details of the informal sector assistance will be announced following completion of consultations. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
The impact of COVID-19 on children extends far beyond the sphere of physical health. A latest report by the United Nations reveals the pandemic is having profound effects on children's mental health, social development, safety, privacy, their economic security and beyond. Kelly Vavala reports the impact of this global crisis for some children will be lifelong.
Children are not the face of the pandemic and majority have been spared from its direct health effects, but the crisis is affecting their well-being.
There are unseen issues, the issues of mental health, and issues of psychosocial health. When you see day after day images on TV, when you see family members getting sick, there's a mental toll here. There's a toll of anxiety, sadness, lack of hope.
UNICEF says the impact of COVID-19 is expected to be most damaging for those children in already disadvantaged or vulnerable situations.
Sometimes there is a false impression that children are safe. We know they're not safe. We know that children can also get sick and children can be vulnerable.
Yet says many countries are in lockdown and with restrictions in place, it might represent a source of security for some children, but for a minority, it's the opposite.
We know from experience that domestic violence increases in periods of stress.
He says the economic impact of COVID-19 on Fiji has been devastating and it will affect future generations.
Seeing what happens to a family member, to community members, can be tremendously troubling for children.
We have only one life. And, we have to do all that we can to be able to live good, long quality of life.
The UN report shows the pandemic is potentially catastrophic for many children around the world. Its impact risks unraveling global progress across several of the Sustainable Development Goals for children, putting already ambitious targets out of sight. Kelly Vathala, FBC News.
The Health Ministry will be able to charge for quarantine services to foreigners once a public health amendment bill is passed in Parliament. Attorney General Syed Qayyum says there have been some visitors who can easily afford accommodation and medical costs, but the government has been paying for everything. He says since visitors choose to come to Fiji, they should have to bear the cost of accommodation, medical services and other COVID-19 related measures.
Our Navy, our RFMF, etc. bears costs. So we need those costs to be paid by them, not by the Fijian taxpayer, because that's their own choice to come to Fiji. So what this amendment does is allow the minister to be able to, through the PS, pass the regulations and be able to pass on those costs.
People who want to do live streaming for commercial gains will not have to apply for a license. Attorney General Syed Qayyum has moved a motion to debate on the Television Amendment Bill on Thursday. He says the current Television Act was established in 1992 and technology has since changed a lot. Syed Qayyum adds people won't need a spectrum license to live stream for commercial gain.
So in order to protect the rights both of the particular associations, and also to ensure that people who are making a commercial gain from this live streaming, there needs to be obviously certain requirements. They have to comply with the law. And the law currently does not envisage, nor did it at that point in time in 1992, envisage that there would be such a thing as live streaming.
Up ahead, young rugby player fronts court. And northern men undergo abuse training.
मैं टोटली दिल्ली में रहता हूँ रेडियो फीजी बहुत रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Tailevu under-19 rugby lock Karesi Maya has been given until his next hearing date to discuss his plea with his lawyer. Maya was produced in the Nausori Magistrates Court earlier this afternoon, charged with one count of assault causing actual bodily harm. Apinisa Wangarundovu reports.
The Tailevu lad represented the Tailevu under-19 team in their match against Tailevu over the weekend. He was caught on camera, apparently throwing a cheap punch at the referee. The footage of the incident shows referee Penny Talemebabalangi falling to the ground due to the impact. In the Nausori court today, Maya's lawyer told the magistrate he had just received the disclosures in the case and has not been through it with his client. Maya was granted bail and told to turn in his passport. Maya is understood to have been offered a 3-year contract by the Cronulla Sharks. The case will now be called on the 18th of next month for plea. Apinisa Wangarundovu, FBC News.
Fiji Women's Crisis Centre Coordinator Shamima Ali has highlighted that violence against women and girls is not a shadow pandemic as labelled by many. Speaking to retired police officers, Turangani Koros and youth leaders during the opening of the week-long workshop on male advocacy for ending violence against women, Ali says this has been an ongoing issue but became highly prevalent during COVID-19.
The FWCC is hopeful these retired police officers, Turangani chorus and youth leaders will become good advocates to end violence against women and children.
It is not a shadow pandemic. It is an existing pandemic that has been with us long before COVID or the natural disasters and so on. So the only problem is it's getting worse. It's a pandemic that is getting worse as COVID gets worse.
Most of these participants who are from outer islands and interior villages have agreed that violence is prevalent in their communities as women are not given equal rights.
To go back home in this weekend and encouraging the men in these issues around Fiji or around the globe in non-violence against women.
This will allow us to get back to our village and enlighten our men in the community on the importance of respecting women and the need to curb violence against women.
These men will work on overcoming their shortfalls during the week-long workshop to be able to respond better to violence against women and will impart the knowledge to other men in their communities. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
The Fiji Red Cross today received a donation of sanitary kits for women in rural and maritime areas. The donation was made by the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians Fiji Group. Speaking at the handover, Fiji Red Cross Director General Elisapedi Rokotunindao said the kits will be distributed to women in islands severely affected by COVID-19 and Tropical Cyclone Harold.
We are looking at areas that we are working a lot in, which is in the 4 areas that have been devastated by TC Harold, Rotulele, Rotuma, and Matuku and Kandavu, up to the island of Ono. And also, there are a lot of women who have been affected through COVID-19.
Rokotunindao adds that during disasters or emergencies, women concentrate more on the needs of the family than their own needs, and this donation will help women immensely. More than 200 Fijians who have been affected by COVID-19 are now selling at the Vot City Flea Market in Nandi. Since the pandemic, Fijians in the West found hope with the opening of the flea market, which now attracts thousands of people. Felipe Naikaso has more.
What started off with just 2 vendors has now grown into a place of opportunities for Fijians that have lost their jobs due to COVID-19.
We're very happy with the results of the initial objective of this concept, and that was to reach out to the community and help them.
Finau says that he still cannot believe how far Vot City has come, but he's proud of how things have turned out in assisting those that have been affected.
On the 25th of April, we only had 2 vendors, And then we started to grow quite rapidly, and we peaked to 215 vendors. But as you can see behind me, today is Monday, so it starts to slow down.
The numbers continue to accelerate at the flea market with the hope of earning money for their family.
When they first set it up, it is a good idea, especially for those who lost their jobs since COVID-19 in the tourism industry. It is a very good idea.
The Nadi Town Council has also been backing the flea market as it provides for unemployed Fijians. Philip and Ikaso, FBC News.
And Whitney joins us now with the latest in business.
Thanks, Jack. In business tonight, new fuel prices from tomorrow. And in growing Fiji, Grace Road unveils more expansion plans. Stay with us.
Pula natang ko aproslan karse, ko erkraki. Do Tailevu no barong na Radio Fiji 1 nandomo ibiti.
Radio Fiji 1 nandomo ibiti.
Despite the recent drop in liquefied petroleum gas prices, which will ease the burden for many, an increase in kerosene prices will affect thousands others. The FCCC highlighted the fluctuation of international prices may have raised the price of kerosene, but there were reductions in the prices of petrol and premix. Koroi Tandolala reports.
Kerosene sees the biggest jump, increasing from 91 cents per litre to $1.05. Concern on the street is that the increased kerosene price means the cost of cooking will tighten already tight budgets.
That's good if the government drop the kerosene, because this time we don't have a job.
For us in the village, we mainly rely on kerosene stoves, especially during rainy days, and this increase will just be tough for us.
However, the drop in LPG prices from tomorrow is a welcome news for those who use gas daily.
Plenty of people be happy the gas going the price down. Yeah, very hard time for the poor people.
A 4.5 kg cylinder of LPG will drop from $11.54 to $11.41. A 12 kg cylinder will sell at $30.42, a reduction of 37 cents, while a 13 kg cylinder goes from $33.35 to $32.95. Bulk gas, on the other hand, remains at the same price at $2.13 per kg, and auto gas price stays at $1.43 per litre. Taxi drivers are also ready for the drop in price of unleaded petrol to $1.95 per litre, as it will allow them to save a few cents.
Yeah, it will help us. The price will go down, it will be easy, we can save some money to our family.
Dropping price is good, so business good, so that we can drive more.
Premix will also decrease from $1.61 to $1.58 per litre. However, diesel will increase from $1.63 to $1.64 per litre. The FCCC also clarified the fuel prices starting tomorrow are regulated based on the importations made in July by the fuel and LPG companies. Koroi Tandolala, FBC News.
By the end of this week, the Business Assistance Fiji panel is expected to process around 4,000 applications for COVID-19 concessional loans. While delivering his ministerial statement on unemployment assistance in Parliament, Minister for Economy Aya Said Keum noted that more than 9,000 applications have been received. The concessional loans initiative is designed to help businesses struggling with the effects of COVID-19.
We will see a total injection of approximately $60 million over a period of time to these micro, small and medium enterprises. Predominantly, the applications are from the micro enterprise sector, which means a lot of people who were self-employed will be able to reignite their businesses. A lot of people who have become unemployed want to get into businesses. And of course, small and medium enterprises have asked for cash flow concessional funding, which means they'll continue to run their business and be able to continue to employ people.
We now join Sharon from HFC Bank with the latest in the money market.
Last week, our South Pacific Stock Exchange noted a 0.74% increase in the overall market values of listed entities and 0.8% increase in their total return index. 33 transactions were recorded with a total volume of over 36,000 shares, adding just under $244,000 in value traded. This saw the aggregate market capitalization close at $3.47 billion. Meanwhile, world currency markets were broadly pro-risk in active trading today. The New Zealand dollar hit its highest against the US dollar since January, while the Australian dollar rose to its highest since December 2018, following a steep dive for US currency. The tone of the US Federal Reserve policy and a sluggish US economic recovery have pushed the dollar down. For the week ahead, Australia will have a lot of key economic issues when they release their interest rate decision, GDP stats and trade balances. And that's all from HFC Bank for now. Vinaka.
Looking at today's local exchange rates set early this morning, the Fiji dollar was pegged higher against the Chinese yuan, the US greenback and the euro, but lost ground against the Aussie and New Zealand dollars and as some other currencies as the market reacted to a new low for the US dollar. Commodities rose across the board. Crude oil prices rose slightly, passing $43 per barrel. Gold was up by more than $40 to $1,970 per ounce, and silver closed up at $27.97 an ounce. In growing Fiji, while the COVID-19 pandemic has slowed down the economy, it hasn't stopped the Navua-based Grace Road Group from investing. Following the opening of a service station, a convenience store and a restaurant along the Queens Road in Navua last year, the group is now venturing into phase 2 of the project. Pranita Prakash reports.
The construction on the second phase, which will house a shopping center, has already commenced.
So that will be a full supermarket and some medical center, medical facility, kids play area, and the some other service we can provide. So that one is a massive project. So we do it stage by stage.
Kim says this will mean more job opportunities for people in Navua and nearby areas.
Once we complete it, probably another 40 to 50 people to full working in there.
More than $54 million is being invested in this project. Kim says they are also planning to develop a similar concept in Vaisari outside Lami and Singatokap. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
And that's it from Business Tonight. We now join Jamie with the latest in sports.
Thanks, Whitney, and good evening in Sports Tonight. Bambasing Lions disappointed with the loss. And Stallions next for Maroons. This and more coming up.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
The Lambasa football side was left disappointed after its 3-1 loss to Suva in the Vodafone Premier League yesterday. Bambasing Lions coach Ronil Lal says they need to focus on their strategy if they are to win their remaining matches and move up from second last on the points table. Tale Materakula reports.
Lambasa football coach Ronil Lal did not mince his words, saying his players did not play according to the game plan.
Our strikers need to wake up. Our finishing is the main issue we have. Despite so many attempts made by us in training, I think so we have to take a bit different approach now. And it's all about coming together and working hard.
This is not the only issue for the Northerners, as their star goalkeeper Aquila Matesuva sustained an injury during the match.
Yes, that's an issue for us, Aquila. Hopefully it's an old injury that occurs time and again. Hopefully he recovers, otherwise we have Alzar who will be taking over.
On the other hand, Suva has put the win behind them and now focused on another tough match against Mba this weekend.
We need to work against defense in our team shape. You know, we're playing Bar next, and now they're a very good side. They're pretty structured teams, and we need to hang on to our lines.
Lambasa and Navua will open round 9 of the VPL 7 p.m. at the Uprising Resort Ground in Navua, while Suva battles Mba at the NZ Stadium on Sunday at 3 p.m. Tali Materkula, FBC Sports.
Meanwhile, the Nandi football side made a big statement in the VPL, thrashing Navua 5-0 yesterday. The win was much needed for the Jet Setters as they slowly closed the gap with the top 3 teams on the standings. Tali Materkula has more.
After being criticized for their BOG semi-final loss, the Green Machine proved critics wrong with the win.
There were a lot of criticism by the fans, and overseas and in local arena. So we tried our best, and I think the boys knew what to do.
With 3 points in the bag, Swami says they will now need to bring their A game against Lautoka this week.
We'll be preparing for Lautoka, I think, and Lautoka is not an easy team. We have to prepare well for Lautoka. They play well constructive football.
With a number of young players in the team, veteran goalkeeper Vereti Dixon is calling on their fans to get behind the jet setters in their upcoming matches.
I want to call out the fans to come out in numbers so they can support the team. Most of the young boys, they come. They're playing well today, and hopefully they do it well in the coming games.
Nandi is currently at 4th place on the points table and will face 5th place Lautoka in round 9 this week. Elima Terpula, FBC Sports.
The Lautoka rugby side is starting to find its feet in the Skipper Cup competition. After 6 years in the Vanua Championship, the Maroons have recorded their 3rd win in the Premier Division with an 11-7 victory over defending champions Suva over the weekend. Aquila Dama has more.
Many didn't expect Lautoka to beat the Skipper Cup champions over the weekend. However, it's all history for them now because their next opponent is totally different compared to Suva.
We'll be playing Nandronga, and even though they lost the fair brother, but for me they are still champions. We still look up to them, and the Stallions are a powerful outfit, and I believe we can improve, especially on our set pieces.
The team management were also amazed with the support from their fans over the weekend.
We are looking forward for their supporting us this next week against Nandronga. So we have worked out our downfall from last week, even though that there is a lot of comments and information coming from people who are following us on social media.
Lautoka plays Nandronga at Lawanga Park on Saturday at 3 p.m. Aquila Vama, FBC Sports.
The Overall rugby side has got its Vanua Championship campaign off to a good start, recording their 2nd win over the weekend. The young team has attributed its winning run to a specific aspect they've improved on this season. Aquila Dama with the story.
Attitude is something the Overall rugby side wants to change this year.
We shared this settlement of what will carry the team up to 100% level that we need. So we taught them the only word that will take this players to 100% level is attitude. So that was our main motto, attitude, and discipline comes after.
The side recorded their 2nd win in Tailevu over the weekend, beating Maduata 11-6. They earlier defeated the Kaunrave 10-7 a week earlier. Many of these players are representing Ovalau for the first time.
We think that the coach that mixing the younger players with some older players. You can see the Ovalau have most younger players than the older players. There's about 3 or 4 older players, and the rest all young players.
However, Maduata will now have to work with their new coach, who officially starts this week.
I think they never execute the game plan that we have to play against Ovalau, and Ovalau take advantage of the mistakes that we make in order to score points. So I think we have the advantage and the potential of players that we have. We put our trust in them.
Ovalau will complete their away games against Mbua this weekend, while Maduata play the Kaunrave. Aquila Vama, FBC Sports.
The Storm consolidated 2nd spot with a tough 30-6 win over the Sea Eagles in the NRL last night. Justin Olam scored a hat-trick while Josh Adokar grabbed a double. In play of the day, England brilliantly chased the 196 to beat Pakistan by 5 wickets in the 2nd 2020 international this morning. Captain Owen Morgan smashed a 33-ball 66, and David Marlon was 55 not out as England completed their 3rd highest chase with 5 balls to spare. That's it from Sports Tonight. In new media, Mark Zuckerberg admits to Facebook's operational mistake following the killing of 2 protesters in the United States. Find out more after the break.
Hi, Bula. I'm Selai from Nandi. I love Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
In new media tonight, Facebook is said to have made an operational mistake in not acting sooner to remove a page from a militia group. The company's chief executive said the group posted a call to arms in Wisconsin. And Angie joins us now with the latest in weather.
Bula, and welcome to the Weather World. Hope the weekend went smoothly under beautiful weather. I'd have that weather over and over again without second thoughts. Well, unfortunately, that great weather couldn't stick around to the start of the week. Oh, and plus it's the last day of August. We'll see what difference September weather brings. Anyways, moving on to the other centers. In the west, it's a nicer day with bright spells. The sun stayed on. Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, a mix between sun and showers. The night we'll see a few sprinkles. And up north, cool winds were amazing. Little odd showers here and there. At sea, southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate to rough seas. Now turning to the tides, low tide at 11:34 p.m. with high tide at 5:43 p.m. Sunrise at 6:13. For tomorrow, all areas look fine except Tailevu. There is light blob rain in prediction. Tomorrow's temps, Ba will have the coolest night at 19 degrees, while the rest will be fine between 21 to 22 degrees. And looking further on to Wednesday, the weather looks settled and fine. That's all the weather news from my end. Enjoy your dinner while I give it back to Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. In Fijian Pulse, we asked, is life ban the best course of action for players who assault match officials?
I believe banning players as such is justifiable.
I agree, such players should be banned for life.
I think for young players, they should be given another chance.
I think the FRU law is clear and it's good for police to be involved because assault is a crime itself.
Recapping the main stories for tonight, Minister rebuffs land lies, informal workers soon to get new deal, and UNICEF worried about COVID-19 impact. Now for these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Our poll question last week we had asked, have you seen an ease in traffic congestion after road repairs along the Suva-Nausori corridor? 70% said yes. And this week we're asking, should players who abuse match officials be banned from playing for life? Visit our FBC website to answer. And our shot of the day, first one for this week, this comes from Railenge Dag, showing peaceful surroundings of Fiji. And you can send us newsworthy pictures to email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj, our Facebook page FBC News, and our Twitter page at FBC_news. That's your news for tonight. Until tomorrow, from the team and I, take care. Bye for now.
Bula FM, number 2 NSR.
Bula FM, number 2 NSR.